Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to the complete recovery of Masha Bas Batsheva. So I'm actually in New York City this weekend for the Chabad convention, and I just got back from the Lubavitcher Rebbe's Ohel, from his resting place, and it's really much connected to this week's Torah portion. This week's Parsha is called Chayei, the life of Sarah. But when you read the Parsha, very little of it, none of it has to do with the life of Sarah. It actually has to do with the death of Sarah. Abraham finding a place to bury her, acquiring Marat Machpelah and Hebron, and so on. So why is it called the life of Sarah? Is this just some, to put a positive spin on a very sad story? Is it like, instead of, we have life insurance? Because if we called it death insurance, nobody would buy it. Is it just a PR spin? The Torah says, sorry for the noise, the Torah says that Sarah lives for 127 years. But instead of saying she just passed away at 127, the way they word it is Sarah lived 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. Why such a funny way? So Rashi says all her years were equal. You see, Sarah knew that the way we experience time is relative. You could have 2 hours and two people experience them totally differently. You could have 2 hours that fly by because you're having a fabulous time. Or you could have 2 hours that feel like a year. Because time is not just the quantity, it's the quality of time. There's an idea in Jewish mysticism that when we live on this world physically, we create clothing for our soul so that when we pass on from this physical world, our soul has these clothing. How do we make these clothing? Through our thought, speech, and action. When we act positively, when we do mitzvah and we do positive things in this world, we create clothing for our soul in the world to come. So you could have somebody, technically, sadly, who lives 100 years, but never really did a positive thing, never really brought positivity into this world, and didn't use out their time positively, and now their soul is not clothed. And then you could have somebody who lives less years physically, but uses out that time and full potential of that time, and really makes an impact, does such positive things, and their soul lives on. So the fact that we call it Chayei, the life of Sarah, it's not a gimmick. Yes, Sarah passed away. That's true. She left the world physically. But because she spent every moment in this world and used it out in its fullest potential to bring positivity and do good things in this world, her soul lives on. She lived on, and her soul was fully enclosed. And this is a very powerful lesson because, this isn't just about time management. Time management is a piece of that. It's how do we choose to use our time? There are so many times. Every day has endless opportunities. There's so much opportunity in each day. And sometimes we find ourselves saying, I don't have time for this right now, or I'll do this when I feel better, or when I'm in the mood. We push off things. We're like, we have so much more time. Time is finite and it's precious. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the years that we spend. So we have to take a lesson from Sarah, from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, from people who really used out every single moment to its fullest extent. And when we find ourselves telling ourselves, I'm not in the mood right now, we have to say, let's go. Now is the time. If not now, when? And when we live our life like that, we live a life that is truly eternal. Shabbat Shalom.